The sun above the alien market was harsh and cruel. The ground was dry, the air hot, and the people cold. In the middle of it all stood a woman. She was not from this world. Her skin was pale silver, once smooth and glowing, now dirty and cracked. Her eyes, once full of pride, were sunken and red from crying. Her clothes were torn, barely covering her thin frame. Her stomach made loud sounds. She hadn't eaten in days. She was starving. The marketplace was loud. Merchants shouted prices. Buyers argued. Robots passed by, carrying goods. No one looked at her. No one cared. She tried to ask for food. "Please, just a small piece of bread," she whispered. A tall alien laughed and threw a rotten fruit at her. "Sell your body, slave. That's all you're good for," he said. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't run. She couldn't. Her legs were weak. She had nowhere to go. She looked around. Everyone kept walking, ignoring her like she didn't exist. She dropped to her knees. "I'll give myself," she said loudly, her voice shaking. "I'll do anything. Just feed me." Now some stopped to look. One alien woman whispered, "Pathetic." A group of alien men laughed. One of them said, "She must have been expensive once." Now look at her. The starving woman didn't cry this time. She just waited. Maybe someone would take her up on the offer. Maybe someone would give her food. Maybe she could live one more day. But no one stepped forward. Minutes passed. The market moved on. She felt dizzy. Her vision blurred. She began to fall until she heard a voice. "Is this what you want?" She looked up. A human stood there. A man, tall, with tan skin, dark eyes and short hair. He wore a simple jacket, dusty from travel. A small pack hung from his side. He held out something. It was a piece of bread. Warm, soft, real. Her eyes widened. Her nose twitched at the smell, but she didn't move. "What do you want for it?" she asked in a whisper. He didn't answer. He placed the bread into her shaking hands. She stared at him, confused. Then slowly brought the bread to her mouth and took a small bite. Her body reacted like fire had touched her lips. She ate faster, crumbs falling on the ground, her hands trembling. She coughed and gasped but kept eating. The human sat down beside her. "You don't have to give your body," he said quietly. "You're not an object." She looked at him with wide, tired eyes. "Why are you helping me?" He shrugged. "Because you asked. No one else did. I'm not everyone else." She was silent. Her body calmed down after the food. Her hands still shook. "I thought, maybe if I gave myself, someone would care," she said. "They didn't." "No," she whispered. "They only saw trash." The human reached into his pack again and pulled out a small bottle of water. She took it, almost crying again. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She lowered her head. "I don't remember," she said. "They took that from me," he nodded. He didn't ask more. He just stood up. "I have a place," he said. "Small but safe. You don't have to come. But if you want more food and a warm place to sleep, you can walk with me." She looked at the ground, then at her hands, then at him. "Are you going to use me?" "No." "Are you lying?" "No." She didn't believe him, not fully. But her legs moved. She stood up slowly. And for the first time in days, she followed someone, not to sell herself, not to beg, but because maybe, just maybe. She was more than trash. As they walked away, the crowd went silent. Someone whispered, "That human's crazy." Another said, "Wasting food on that thing." But the man didn't care, and the starving alien woman didn't look back. She didn't know his name yet, but he had already saved her life. The first thing she noticed was the smell, not fear, not oil, not blood, but something strange, warm, clean. Soap. She opened her eyes. She wasn't lying on a cold street anymore. She was on a thin but soft blanket inside a small metal room. The walls were smooth and gray, glowing faintly. There was a table, a chair, a heater humming quietly in the corner. The human was nearby, facing away from her, preparing something over a heat plate. He turned slightly when he heard her shift. "You're awake," he said. She sat up fast, suddenly alert. "Why am I not?" "Tied?" He looked confused. "Why would I tie you?" Her voice cracked. "Because I was free, easy, worth nothing." "You could have done anything." He handed her a metal cup. "Drink this first." She hesitated, then took it. Warm soup, real. Her throat burned from the first sip, but it was the best thing she had tasted in years. "You passed out in the market," he said. "I brought you here." "Why?" Her voice was sharp now. "What do you want?" He paused, then answered slowly, "Nothing. Just to help." She stared at him like he was speaking a foreign language. "No one helps unless they get something." "Then I'm no one," he said, smiling lightly. She looked down at the cup. Her hands were still shaking. She wasn't used to kindness. Kindness usually came with a price. He sat down across from her. "What's your story?" he asked. She took another sip before answering. Her voice was soft. "I was born on a noble moon. My family was powerful. I was supposed to marry a prince." The human didn't interrupt. "But war came, my home burned. My people sold me to survive. I was traded like junk from planet to planet. I escaped last year, and ended up here." Her eyes met his. "And now I'm trash." "No," he said firmly. "You're still here. That means you're a survivor." She blinked, unsure how to respond. He got up and opened a small compartment in the wall. He took out clean clothes, nothing fancy, just a simple shirt and pants. "These are yours now. There's a washroom through that door." She looked at the clothes, then at him. "You want me to clean myself for you?" "No, I want you to clean yourself. For you." She took the clothes, but didn't move. He turned his back and gave her space. Inside the washroom, she stood in front of a mirror. For the first time in years, she looked at herself, the dirt, the scars, the hollow cheeks. But also behind all that, a face still breathing, still alive. Tears rolled down. No chains, no guards, just warm water and a locked door from the inside. When she came out, she was quiet. "Clean now." The human didn't stare. He simply said, "You look better." She didn't say thanks. Instead, she asked, "What's your name?" "Marcus." She nodded slowly. "Mine was Plani, long ago. I'm not sure if I deserve it anymore." "You do," Marcus said. He placed a folded blanket on the second chair. "You can sleep here tonight," he said. "I'll take the floor." She looked at him with wide eyes. "You trust me?" "Shouldn't I?" She stared at him for a long time. No tricks, no greed, just calm eyes. "I thought humans were dangerous," she said. Marcus chuckled. "Most are, so are most aliens." He walked over to a small screen on the wall and typed something. A map of the planet showed up. "I leave in 2 days, heading north. There's a human shelter in that sector. You can come with me if you want." "Why would I?" "They offer food, safety, a bed, no chains, no selling, a fresh start." Her voice broke. "Why are you offering me this?" He looked at her. "Because no one else did." That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept watching him, making sure he didn't come near her. But he didn't. He just snored a little and stayed curled up on the floor. She pulled the blanket tighter around herself. Her body was warmer than it had been in years. Maybe he was strange. Maybe he was lying. But something deep inside her chest whispered, "Maybe not." And for the first time in a long time, she wanted to live. The ship's alarm beeped softly, not loud, not urgent. Just enough to say, "Someone is watching." Marcus opened his eyes. The small room was still dark. Plani was curled on the chair, blanket wrapped tight. She hadn't moved. She hadn't even noticed, but Marcus had. He rose quietly, walked over to the control screen, and tapped a few buttons. A red symbol blinked on the radar. Unregistered vessel. Low altitude. Circling. Marcus narrowed his eyes. They found her ... An hour later, the sky above the colony darkened. Fanny stood outside the ship, breathing morning air for the first time. In peace, her skin, though still pale, looked less tired. Her eyes were softer, her back a little straighter. She held a small piece of fruit Marcus had given her. She chewed slowly, enjoying every bite, but something felt off. She turned her head toward the sky. A silver dot glided above the rooftops. Quiet, watching. She froze out her hands, dropped the fruit. Marcus stepped out of the ship and followed her gaze. "It's them," she whispered. He didn't ask. He didn't need to. She already knew what that ship was. Back inside, she stood trembling as Marcus brought up a screen showing the alert. Bounty posted specimen. Escaped asset. Plani 472. Status, runaway, dangerous. Property. Reward. 30,000 credits. Alive. Her face turned white. "I told you. They'll come." Marcus stared at the post. "You're not property. They don't care. They want me back. Not for justice, for punishment. How many? Usually 2 or 3. Enough to drag me back in chains." Marcus sat in silence for a moment. Then he asked, "Do you want to run?" "I always run," she said quietly. "Then let's not." That night, Plani sat in the corner of the ship with her arms around her knees. Her voice broke the silence. "I didn't escape alone. There were 5 of us. We planned it for months. When the guards found out, they made us fight." "Fight?" Marcus asked. "They threw us in a pit. Said only one could live. I didn't want to kill anyone. But one of them tried to protect me. Took the blow meant for me." She wiped her eyes. "I didn't ask to live, but I did, and now they want me back." Marcus looked at her carefully. "You're not going back." By morning, the unregistered ship had landed. 3 bounty hunters stepped into the colony. One wore thick armor with electric chains on his belt. Another had 4 eyes and a scanner. The third licked his teeth when he saw the tracking signal. "Target's close," he said. "Real close." They walked toward Marcus's ship with smug grins. "Ready to collect. Ready to crush Dot inside the ship." Plani shook her head. "You should let me go. If they find me here, they'll take you too." "I know," Marcus said calmly. "That's why I need you to trust me." He opened a hidden panel under the floor. Inside, old gear. A blaster. A stun baton. And a strange badge with human military markings. "You were a soldier?" she asked. "Still am," he said, with a small grin. "Just tired of fighting for the wrong side." The hunters arrived. "Step away from the ship," the lead one shouted. Marcus walked out alone. No weapon in hand, calm. "We tracked stolen property here," one said. Marcus shrugged. "I don't have slaves. That's not a human thing." "She's worth 30,000 credits," another growled. "Step aside." "I know she's worth more than that," Marcus said softly. "But you're not taking her." The bounty hunters laughed. "You gonna stop us with that rusty ship and soft talk?" Marcus smiled. "No, I'll stop you with this." He raised the old human badge. The air shimmered. The ship's defense field came alive. The hunters froze. "You're under Earth Federation protection now," Marcus said. "So unless you want to deal with our kind of trouble, I suggest you leave." The bounty hunters cursed and backed away. But one made a mistake. He reached for his weapon. Before he could fire, a stun blast hit his chest. He collapsed. Twitching. T single quotes Lonnie stood behind Marcus, holding the baton. Her hands shook, but her aim had been perfect. Marcus turned and smiled. "Good shot." She was breathing fast. "I didn't mean to. You protected yourself. That's what matters." Later, when the other bounty hunters ran and their ship took off, Plani sat outside again. This time the sky felt wide, open. She looked at Marcus. You risked everything. I didn't, he said. You did. For me, Marcus looked at her seriously. They wanted a number. I saw a person. That night, as they packed the ship to leave the colony, Tlani placed something beside Marcus's gear. It was her broken old collar. I don't need this anymore, she said. He looked at it. Then at her. Asterisk. No, he said. You never did. Asterisk. They called her worthless. Again and again. In every planet, every market, every prison. But today, someone was bleeding to keep her alive. T single quotes. Lonnie held the wall as the ship shook from the impact. Sparks flew overhead. The control panel blinked red. Something was burning. Outside, Marcus was still fighting. He had told her to stay hidden, told her not to come out. But she couldn't just sit there. Not while he bled for her. Not while he shouted her name with pain in his voice. An hour earlier, things were calm. They had just left the colony, heading toward the human safe zone. The stars were quiet. The ship hummed softly. Tlani, for once, had smiled. She had asked Marcus, "Do you really believe I'm not trash?" He looked at her and said, "Trash doesn't fight to live. You did." But their peace didn't last. A bounty ship followed them in silence, then fired without warning. Now Marcus stood outside the broken hull of his ship, facing 3 armored hunters. His side was bleeding. His gun was half charged. And still he stood like a wall. "You're not taking her," he said, voice firm. "She's not worth your bones, human." One hunter spat. Marcus wiped blood from his mouth. "Then why are you still here trying to take her?" They charged. The first swung a blade. Marcus dodged and shot him in the knee. The second fired a stun bolt. Marcus took it in the shoulder, but stayed standing. The third came from behind, but didn't expect a weapon to hit him. In the back. It was Tlani. She had picked up the fallen stun baton. Her arm shook. But her strike was solid. "Stay down," she shouted. The hunter roared and grabbed her by the throat. "You little rat. You think you're worth anything?" Marcus saw red. He tackled the hunter, slamming him into the side of the ship. His fist hit again, until the hunter let go of her and collapsed. Marcus turned back to T single quotes Lonnie. She was coughing, eyes wide, throat red, but still breathing. The last hunter crawled away, his leg broken. "She's filth," he growled. "She's broken, useless meat. You can't save trash, human." Marcus looked down at him. Then said coldly, "Funny, that trash just helped save me." Later, when the attackers were gone, Marcus collapsed beside the ship. Exhausted, Tlani wrapped his wound with cloth from her own shirt. Her fingers moved carefully. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You're hurt because of me." He looked at her and smiled weakly. "I've been hurt for worse reasons." She paused. "Why do you keep fighting for me?" He answered without thinking. "Because I've seen real monsters. You're not one of them." She looked away, ashamed. "But I've killed." "Because they made you," he said. "And still, you saved me. You made a choice." The wind blew dust across the silent field. The wrecked ship groaned from the damage. Night was falling. They couldn't fly. They have to walk. Marcus stood slowly, limping. "We keep moving. Shelter's a day away. I'll carry your pack." Tlani said quickly, "You don't have to. I want to." She looked at the scorched battlefield behind them. "I used to think I was worth less than the collar they put on me." He stopped and looked her in the eye. "Not to me." "And?" So they walked out, one man, one woman. Both wounded. Both hunted, but now, not alone. Not trash. Not worthless. He was still sleeping when she walked away. Marcus lay beside a burned tree, one arm bandaged, his face calm despite the pain. The morning light touched his skin gently. His breath was soft. Slow, Tlani stood just a few steps away, holding his pack. She looked back at him. Her lips trembled. "I can't let you suffer because of me anymore." She whispered those words like a goodbye, then turned and walked into the mist. Hours passed. The forest was quiet but not peaceful. Cold wind cut through her new clothes. Her feet hurt. Her hands ached from carrying his gear, but her heart hurt. Morgoth, every step felt wrong. Still, she walked, because she believed it was the only way to save him. She reached a small trading outpost by nightfall. It was rough, dirty, and filled with the kind of creatures who didn't ask questions. As long as they got paid. She stepped into the dark market square. All eyes turned to her. A tall insectoid merchant with glowing eyes called out, "You lost." "Softskin? I need parts," she said. "Ship repair." "Just basic jump drive tech," the alien laughed. "You look poor." "Got anything to trade?" Tlani opened the bag and pulled out something heavy. Marcus's old weapon. His emergency credits. Even his soldier's badge. The alien whistled. "Where'd you steal that from? It's not stolen." "He gave it to me." "He, human?" "She." Not a double quote strange. Most humans don't give. They take. She forced a smile. "He's not like the others." The alien handed her a small chip box with the parts she needed. "This will fix your ship, not your life." "I'm not fixing mine," she whispered. "I'm fixing his." But trouble was never far. 3 drunk scavengers saw her leaving. The stall, saw the badge, saw the parts. They followed. Pliny tried to stay calm as she moved through the alley behind the outpost. She could feel their steps closing in. Then she heard one say, "That's a slave mark on her neck. Bet you fetch good credits, and the human junk she's carrying too." She ran, but not fast enough. They caught her, threw her down, grabbed her arms. "Let me go," she screamed. "It's not yours." "Neither are you," one laughed. "Just..." Then boom, a blast hit the wall near them. Dirt flew. One of the scavengers dropped. Another scream. The others looked up and froze, standing at the alley's entrance. Was Marcus. One arm still wounded, one leg dragging slightly. But fire in his eyes. He aimed again. "Let her go." The scavengers ran, dragging their injured friend. Pliny stared at Marcus as he walked up to her. She tried to speak, but he dropped to his knees, exhausted. "I followed your footprints," he said, breathing hard. "Didn't think you'd make it this far. Why did you come?" She asked, tears in her voice. He looked at her. "You took my bag. I couldn't leave without it." She laughed through the tears. "I tried to help you," she said. "I traded everything for the parts. I wanted to fix the ship. I wanted you to live." "I'd rather die beside you than live without you," he answered quietly. They rested. That night near an abandoned hut, Pliny sat beside the small fire, watching the flames dance. "I thought I was helping you by leaving," she said. Marcus shook his head. "Helping means staying, fighting together." She nodded slowly, then said something she hadn't said since childhood. "Thank you for coming back for me." He didn't say anything. He just took her hand gently and held it, and for the first time since her world fell apart, she felt like she belonged. She didn't remember the last time someone said her name out loud. Not a number, not slave, not trash. A real name. Maybe it had been years. Maybe longer. So when Marcus said it softly by the fire, she thought she was dreaming. "Plani." Her breath caught in her throat. "You remembered," she whispered. "Of course I did." The fire cracked gently beside them. They were camped on a high hill overlooking the frozen plains. Stars blinked overhead. The wind was cold, but their blanket was warm. She sat beside him, closer than ever before. "Back in the cage," she said. "They erased our names. Told us we didn't deserve them." Marcus looked at her carefully. "Do you believe that?" "I did," she admitted. "For a long time. I thought maybe names were only for the clean, the strong, the free." He shook his head. "That's not true." She turned to him. "Then what is a name to you?" Marcus thought for a moment. A name, he said slowly, is a seed. It's what you grow into, what you choose to become. She looked down at her hands. They were rough, scarred, but stronger now. I don't know who I'm becoming, she said. I do, he replied. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. It was a pendant simple, made of old human alloy. On it was a tiny engraving in English. He handed it to her. She stared at it. One word. Hope. She looked up at him. I'm giving you this name, Marcus said gently. Not because you need it, but because you earned it. Her lips trembled. Hope, she whispered, touching the letters like they were gold. You survived when no one cared. You fought when you were weak. You gave when you had nothing. She shook her head, eyes watering. I don't deserve it. You do, he said softly. Because you're not just surviving anymore, you're living. The next morning, something had changed. Hope stood straighter. Her eyes were clearer. Her face, no longer just tired, looked alive. Marcus handed her data pad. Ready for your first lesson? She blinked. Lesson? If you want to survive out here, he grinned, you need to know how to fly. Her mouth dropped open. You're going to teach me to pilot a ship? I'm going to teach you everything. And he did. Over the next few days, they worked together. Hope learned how to hold a blaster properly, how to reroute a power core, how to read human text. She struggled, fell, got back up. Marcus never lost patience. Every time she failed, he just said, try again, Hope. Not Tlani, not girl, not slave. Just Hope. And slowly, she began to believe it. One night, as they repaired the last piece of the damaged ship, she looked at her reflection in the glass. No chains, no bruises, no collar, just a woman, strong, alive, real. She turned to Marcus. If we get to that shelter, what happens then? He shrugged. We build something new, like a home, he smiled. Exactly. She stepped closer. I don't want to forget who I was, even the pain, even the shame. You don't have to, he said. But now, it's just one part of you. Not all of you. Hope nodded. Then quietly said, thank you for giving me something no one else ever did. What's that? He asked. She smiled. A future. The last time she stood in this place, she was on her knees, hungry, dirty, forgotten. People had passed her like she was trash. A broken thing. A body to be used, then thrown away. Now she stood tall, clean, glowing. With guards behind her. A crown of light resting on her brow, and a man beside her, holding her hand. Hope returned to the marketplace, not as a beggar, but as a storm. It all began 2 days earlier, after the ship was repaired. Hope and Marcus reached the human shelter. But they weren't alone. An ambassador from the House of Luria, one of the oldest alien royal bloodlines, was waiting for her. They had been searching for a long-lost daughter, a noble girl betrayed by her own family during the war, a girl named Plani of Luria. Marcus was stunned. Hope was silent. Then she said softly, that was my name, but I thought I lost it. The ambassador knelt before her. Your mother still waits. Your throne is yours, if you will take it. Hope looked at Marcus. I have a new name now, she said. And I won't go anywhere without him. Back in the same marketplace where no one fed her, a grand gathering had been called. The ones who once laughed at her now stood silent as her royal banner flew high above them. Hope looked out at the crowd. She saw the merchant who mocked her, the guards who ignored her, the rich who stepped over her. She didn't speak in anger. She simply said, there was a time I stood right there, pointing to the dirty stone in the center, offering my body for a piece of bread. Some looked away in shame, but someone came. He didn't buy me. He didn't break me. He fed me. Her voice was steady. You called me worthless. He called me hope, and because of that, I lived. Marcus stood quietly beside her, wearing his worn jacket. Not royal, not special, Just human. But to her, he was everything. Later that day, Hope was crowned officially in a quiet ceremony. Her mother, old and frail, hugged her with tears. "You're not lost anymore," she whispered. "No," Hope smiled. They offered Marcus riches, power, a title. He refused them all. "I didn't save her to gain anything," he said. "I saved her because I couldn't walk away." Hope held his hand. "But now you're stuck with me," she teased. "I was hoping for that." He grinned. 1 week later, the people of Lurea witnessed something no one expected. Their new queen stepped onto the palace balcony, dressed in fine robes, and made an announcement. "I will not rule above you," she said. "I will rule with you." She turned and took Marcus's hand in front of the crowd. "And this man, this human, will stand beside me. Not as a hero, not as a servant, but as my heart." That night, as the stars lit up the skies over Lurea, Hope and Marcus stood on the palace rooftop. She leaned into him, her crown resting on his shoulder. "Can you believe it?" she whispered. "From dirt to this." He looked at her and smiled. "You were never dirt," he said. "You just needed someone to remind you." She kissed him gently. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" He asked. "For seeing me when no one else did." And so the woman they mocked, the woman they starved, the woman they left to die in the streets, became their queen, not because of her bloodline, but because one man believed she was more than her pain, and she proved he was right.